Hey there, guys. So today I hit push day. Quick breakdown. I hit handstand press, straddle planche, handstand push-ups as skills before I got into the working sets. Um, Today I wanted to share some thoughts on my approach to training and how to get strong. Just a little bit about my past as I work through this warm-up here before we get into the actual workout. So what is strong? There's different types of strength. There's sheer strength like power lifters have, and calisthenics is more functional. So the first thing you have to decide, and considering you're on this channel, you probably like functional strength. You like calisthenics, like me, but to each their own. There's no right or wrong answer. In my past in training, I have trained for endurance. I've trained for low rep strength. I've done all different sorts of training. I've done lots of cardio. I used to do MMA. Not competitive. I was kind of a training dummy, but I was still, getting a pretty good cardiovascular workout in. But what I've came to really like recently, and I've talked a lot about it, is the two-set method. I'm not here to talk about that again today. I just like to say that, I was stuck in a plateau for many years by working a 1 to 6 rep range, and I've recently started working that 12 rep range. I had a lot of low rep strength. I could do, I think my 1 rep PR for weighted pull-ups was like 135 pounds around my waist, and I could get my chin over the bar for a few seconds. So I was pretty strong for several years, but I was stuck in this plateau where my skill progression was non-existent. And my philosophy behind that is you can only get 1 ounce of muscle so strong before you need to build more muscle, to make stronger. Which is, 12 reps is kind of, is you're still in the hypertrophy, you're still building low rep strength, but you're also starting to get into the area of where you're building muscle mass as well. Just the general requirements to build strength, regardless of what type of strength you're all about. You need adequate nutrition, you need adequate muscle stimulus, so not overtraining, and you also need adequate rest. I mention this because back in the day when I started to unlock some skills like muscle up, for example, I gave up on the basic calisthenic building blocks like regular pull-ups, regular dips, regular push-ups, regular squats, etc. And I started training, like muscle-ups, for example, as a working set, so to say, even though I couldn't hit 12 reps and I was, stuck in that 1 to 6 rep range. And I would just like to say, never stop training the basic building blocks of calisthenics. Skill practice is important, but don't move something from skills to working sets unless you are all about that skill and you can easily hit 12 plus reps on it. You should always practice appropriate skills on their respective day because that's what's fun about calisthenics. It allows us not only to show off to others, but also to show off to ourselves. Skills are what keep us motivated to keep training, and they let us keep track of our gains. Just be sure to keep the basic fundamentals as well. You should progress them in difficulty to build strength, or you'll be like me and stuck in that plateau working a 1 to 6 rep range for many years and wondering why you're not going anywhere. Like I was saying, I was very strong, but I wasn't progressing in skills, and it wasn't fun. And here recently I've started working, the 2 set with the 12 reps. So I've decreased my workout volume. I'm not training as hard as I used to, so to say. That's finger quotations, not training as hard as I used to. Like my individual working sets are more challenging than the working sets I used to do. They fatigue my muscles more than the sets I used to do, but overall there's a lot less of them. Like take for example pull day. I used to do like 3 to 5 different types of pull-ups, and there's really no point in that. Like all you're doing is burning out your muscles. you need to decrease the volume and increase the quality of what you're training. Anyways, that's my my 2 cents and a little bit about my past for today. I just figured I would share. It's great to train the skills, but keep training the basic fundamentals as well. Today wasn't a good day for freestanding handstand, but on the parallettes, I've been getting a lot better at this lately. I always say work explosive strength, and explosive strength is great to build muscle, so that's great for your working sets. But on skills, you should work slow control over the power that you have. If you try to explode up into a handstand press, unless you have some great coordination, you're probably going to fall. And I say that because I've fallen from that position quite a bit. I've been trying to get better at straddle planche. I think my form is a little bit off. And speak of that, that's why I tried some of this band assistance today to work on my planche form. Looking back on this, I think I should have went up to the next size in band. But I was still able to not have a perfect rep quality, but I was able to do a lot better than with no band. So maybe next time I'll try the thicker band. Also be careful if you're taking those bands off. They'll give you a pretty nasty slap. At the gym I used to go to, the public gym I used to train at, I didn't witness it firsthand, but I heard all about it. It was when I was gone. There was a guy that was doing pull-ups, and he was using an assistance band. And it's just human nature to look at it, when you're putting it around your shoe or taking it off your shoe. And several people told me that the band slipped off the guy's shoe and hit him in the eye, and it like almost severed his optic nerve, and I think he had to have eye surgery. So never look at the band, you just kind of feel where it's at. Here I done pretty okay on handstand push-ups today. Freestanding handstand wasn't the best, and sometimes you have days where your handstand is great, and sometimes it's not so great, but that's why we practice, to try to get better. That being said, here I was not able to hit a handstand push-up on this attempt, and so I decided to just try and hold a freestanding handstand. If you can't do exactly what you're wanting, sometimes you have to accept that and take the second best option. Here is what I was saying I couldn't do because I had knee surgery. Thankfully, my knee is still not 100%, but it's a lot better, and I'm able to get the 40-pound vest out again. So that is a 40-pound vest. There's like little sandbags. They only weigh 8 pounds each, but there's 3 of them in the back and 2 of them in the front. And I think this is a great piece of equipment to get if you're big into calisthenics. It really allows you to up the difficulty of those basic building blocks, the basic fundamentals of calisthenics, like I was talking about at the beginning of this video. If you try to do body weight dips, for 15, 20 years, you might get where you can do 100 reps, but that's a different type of strength than what I'm going for. So I like to add some weight on there to make them more challenging. I was wondering what I was doing. I almost forgot. I hit 11 reps, and then I took a mini break and tried to hit a really hard, just 1 rep negative on the second set. So here I decided I would try a different variation of pike push-ups, and I had my wife there holding the mat to, so I don't kick it down. I'm not sure if I was weak or what was going on, but I could feel when I was doing this. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like the pike push-ups I do with my feet on the bench, which you'll see here shortly. So after I done this, I actually hit 7 reps on this, and I was, my shoulders were on fire. I'm not sure if that was because my form was wrong or if it took a lot of strength or both, but I don't remember if I included the clip, but I try moving the parallettes a bit closer to the ladder to see if that can, improve how it feels. Let's see here, it's about to change. Okay, so I did include the clip. The parallettes are now closer to the ladder, and this felt, again, I don't know if I was like weak and worn out or what, but this felt so much more challenging than that previous set I had hit. You'll see I actually bail with one attempt here. I bail. Maybe that's something I need to practice more in the future, or maybe it feels wrong for a reason. But either way, here's how I usually like to do pike push-ups. I'm not quite getting the same amount of range of motion, but at the point in my training right now, I don't think that's super important because I think I hit 10 reps here, and they felt very challenging, and you can see me shaking on some of these reps, and that's how you know you're doing something, is when your muscles start to quiver. Alrighty, so I actually hit 2 sets of this, but I think I only include 1 set. I'm not sure. We'll see, but these are just lateral raises. I wouldn't really call this so much calisthenics, but this is just I'm just working the accessory muscles. The lateral deltoids are really great to train, because they really help you with your balance in a handstand. And when I started training these a few weeks ago, and I noticed that handstands felt a lot better after I trained them. So I've kept training them. And I would recommend to think about what skills you're working on, and think about trying to increase the strength of every muscle in your body that goes into that skill. Yeah, okay, so I actually done 2 sets of that, but it doesn't look like I included the second clip, but I mean, it wasn't anything exciting to see. It was just the same thing over again. Here I'm stretching out, and I've talked about this a lot, but I'm just decompressing my spine, and it helps me feel better when I go in, and I call it a day on the workout. I saw my wife, lay over the parallel bars, and I said, I'm going to try it up here on this low bar, and you can tell I'm not used to training that position. I felt pretty uncomfortable here. I felt, not so much the bar being uncomfortable, but I felt like I might fall from this, and I wasn't really looking forward to falling. You can see me struggling to re-grab there and make my way down, but thankfully I made it down with no injuries. And knee is stronger, I'm stronger. I need to lose some body fat, but hey, we'll get past the holidays and make a comeback. But cheers, guys. If you have any questions, let me know, and have a nice day.